than the most talented Mr. Kabir Bedi. Kabirji, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kailash. Pleasure to be on governance now. Looking forward to a lovely conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Kabir Bedi's career has spanned 3 continents in 3 mediums, film, TV, and theatre, in Bollywood, Europe, and Hollywood for over 3 decades. He's most known for his roles in American television series The Bold and the Beautiful, the James Bond film Octopussy, his European series Sandokan, and his Bollywood blockbuster Khoon Bari Maang. For Kabir, as Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage. His Sandokan Italian series broke all broadcasting records in Europe. For his lifetime achievements, he was bestowed Italy's highest civilian honor, Cavalier, a knighthood. In theatre, he has starred at the Luminato Theatre Film Festival in Canada, in London's West End, and in India as Alec Padamsee's Othello and Tughlaq. He's a long-standing voting member of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, which awards the Oscars. He's known for his social causes in India, most especially for Sight Savers India, which has restored the sight of over 5 million blind and visually challenged for free. He has just released his best-selling autobiography, Stories I Must Tell, The Emotional Life of an Actor, to great critical acclaim. He lives in Mumbai, on Juhu Beach in Mumbai. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Kailash, for that wonderful introduction. Most grateful. Looking forward to our chat.
Yes. So if I may ask you in the beginning, with regards to Stories I Must Tell, The Emotional Life of an Actor, what inspired you to start penning an autobiography?
I've had a thrilling life, and it has all the thrills and chills of a roller coaster. Bollywood, Hollywood, Europe के उतार चढ़ाव का कैसे पार किया मैंने, ये सब उसमें है. And I knew that I had a wonderful story to tell. I just wasn't clear how I was going to tell it. And with the beginning of the pandemic, which gave me time to think, which gave me time to myself, I figured out the best way to tell it in a series of stories that add up to the totality of my life. It was time. I had to tell my story. It was bursting to come out of me. And once I started, it was a force that was bigger than me. It just took over. It wrote itself.
Naturally. So it was, you can say that it was boiling within you for quite some time.
Yes.
And with the pandemic, naturally, everyone was at home. So you got that time, that peace, and that the entire environment, as we can call it, to pen down Stories I Must Tell.
Not only that, Kailash, the very routine of waking up in the morning, thinking about my book, writing like a madman for hours on end, helped me get through the pandemic. It was my way of coping with the pandemic as well. And this is a book that was born in the pandemic, released in the pandemic, and is being read in the pandemic. So it was a great time for me to introspect about my life and to see my younger self with different eyes, with more compassionate eyes, more understanding eyes. It was a story waiting to be told, and I'm glad I finally put it down. 10 years of thinking and 9 months of mad, crazy writing.
Yes, 10 years of thinking and 9 months of mad, crazy writing, as you aptly put it. Now, with reference to your book, your life, as you have portrayed in the book, has so many shades. As you rightly called it in the book, it's a roller coaster ride. It has Hollywood, it has Bollywood, it has TV, theater, everything. How easy or difficult was it to pen down all the moments of life? Because it is not easy, at your stature and age, sir, to think from the very beginning. To tell yourself, let's think from the very beginning. Whether it could have been easy, it could have been difficult. How was it, sir?
Kailash, one trap I avoided was the trap of writing things in a linear way. That start, I was born here, then I went to school here, then I went to college here. Those kinds of things in autobiographies make me tune out. I'm not interested in all those small details of who your best friend in school were, etc. What interests me is the story. Kahani kya hai? Baat kya hai? It was not easy to write about the difficult parts of my life, because success to har aadmi bade aaram se uski prashansa bhi kar sakta hai, uski apni tareef bhi kar sakta hai. That's an easy thing, because achievement is something that... Bilkul. So those are the easy things. The hard thing is to write about your own weaknesses and your own feelings. But, when you've been through life, people have given you so much, and people have done terrible things to you also. There have been great moments of elation, great moments of sorrow. I can only speak about what happened in truth, talk about what was done to me by others, by also saying what I was to blame for. If I accept blame, if I accept my feelings, I can talk about the feelings of others. But it is really a thrilling story because it goes from immense highs to immense lows a number of times, like I said, like a roller coaster. So it's a thrilling book to read because
Absolutely.
I've included all those shades and told it like it happened.
Sure. Well, one thing about an autobiography is that if it is true and honest, naturally the reader will come to know. And that's when it
Yes.
captivates you. And now, as an author, this question is I'm putting across to you as an author, sir. What do you wish the readers to infer from the book? कबीर बेदी जी क्या चाहते हैं कि स्टोरीज आई मस्ट टेल पर से एक जो भी एक इंसान पढ़ रहा है वो what should he take home?
First, you should take home what an extraordinary life I have led. Because मैंने बहुत सी अंतरराष्ट्रीय जीतें देखी जिन्होंने भारत को गौरवान्वित किया, दिल दुखाने वाली त्रासदियां भी सही. ये किताब मेरी भावनाओं का अनुभव है. It is an emotional experience. So they must feel that they have seen what it is to live the life of an actor in Bollywood, the life of an actor in Europe, having huge success in Europe, the life of an actor in Hollywood, facing the problems of roles not being written for him and yet getting roles. And how do you do that? Seeing terrible financial reverses and how to rise from that. So, ये ऐसी किताब नहीं कि lesson number 1, lesson number 2. Lessons उनमें हैं. आप समझ जाएंगे कि lessons क्या हैं. मैंने उनको underline नहीं किया है. This is not a self-help book in that sense. But it will help you understand how to deal with situations like that just by watching what I did and what not to do. So firstly, I want people to understand the life that I lived. Secondly, I want people to feel that I have told it as honestly as I could. And I feel that every person writing an autobiography should do that. You can't tell everybody everything about your life because then it becomes an Encyclopedia Britannica. Nobody's interested in reading a collection of all kinds of unnecessary facts. People want to know kahani kya hai, what's the basic story. So that is why I broke my book up into a number of different stories and told it in that particular way. So my sense is, I also want people to feel and know that it is okay to choose an unusual path, to take the road less traveled, to take something that makes you happy. I mean, when I left a job in advertising for the insecurity of the film industry, I could have had a very successful career in advertising. I was working with the 2 biggest multinationals in Bombay, Lintas and Ogilvy Mather. But somewhere when your heart is singing in another direction, have the courage to take that step. Because in the end, you may or may not make immense money, you may or may not become a mega star, but you will have great satisfaction because you're doing what you want to do. Absolutely. That courage also I want to share with people.
No, and one thing I'd like to say that, if you would have continued in advertising, how would Indian audiences and the world audiences would get to know Kabir Bedi? I mean, the actor, the personality, the voice. I mean, we are all, I would say, as all filmy buffs, as you can call it, that we are so happy and thrilled for the fact that we have Kabir Bedi with us. So
that's good. They say luck favors the brave. अगर आपको जंग जीतना है तो जंग के मैदान में उतरना तो पड़ेगा.
Absolutely. You have to come forward to see, you have to test the waters, as they call it.
You have to test the waters, taste the blood in your mouth of battle, and then feel that you have won.
True. Did you, Kabir sir, did you feel at any point of time, while writing it down, that band kar deta hu, let me postpone? Because, see, you have been true, like what I've read of your book, you have been very true in penning down all the important thoughts of your life. And you could feel that, you would ruffle some feathers कि अगर ये बाहर आ गया तो कुछ लोगों को बुरा लगेगा क्योंकि जब आप सच्चाई बताते हो तो सच्चाई कड़वी भी होती है, और शायद कड़वाहट कुछ लोगों को पसंद ना आए इतने सालों के बाद. सो डिड यू फील कि अभी रोक देता हूं या पोस्टपोन करता हूं या छोड़ देता हूं?
ऐसी दुविधा मेरे में नहीं थी. आई वॉज वेरी क्लियर दैट जो है वो मैं लिखूंगा. अगर मैं लोगों की बुराइयों की बात करूं तो मैं अपनी बुराइयों की बात करता हूं, अपनी गलतियों को भी मानता हूं. I was clear that I wanted to tell a story that told it in a very dramatic way. That you were not able to put down the book. You wanted to know कि अगली लाइन में क्या है, अगले पैराग्राफ में क्या है, अगले पेज में क्या है, अगले चैप्टर में क्या है. That anticipation I wanted in the readers. And the only way to do that is to tell the truth, but tell it dramatically. And that's what I really set out to do. जब मैं क्लियर नहीं था, 10 साल के लिए मैं सोच रहा था कि कैसे लिखूं. मैंने कम से कम 10 ड्राफ्ट्स लिखे, कुछ 40-50 पेज तक पहुंचा, और मैंने कहा यार ये किताब मैं भी नहीं पढ़ूंगा. चाहे कोई बहुत जबरदस्त फैन हो जो ये किताब पढ़े, लेकिन I am bored by my own book. So I threw out those manuscripts. It was only when I was able to tell them in a way that resonated for me, कि दिल की गहराइयों से बात कर सका, then I felt, let the chips fall where they may. चाहे सच कड़वा हो, मीठा हो, जैसा हो, सच मैं कहकर ही रहूंगा, क्योंकि ये मेरी जिंदगी है, ये मेरा सच है.
Absolutely. ये मेरी जिंदगी है, ये मेरा सच है, और मैं सच कह के रहूंगा. In writing an autobiography, Kabir sir, a person has to revisit all the moments, as you rightly said in the beginning, कि जीवन के हर एक पहलू, हर एक उतार चढ़ाव को, एक रोलर कोस्टर को फिर से याद करना पड़ता है. It's like going back in the days. How did you personally feel about all those moments because you had to go back? I mean, it could have made your eyes moist. I mean, what was the feeling?
They did. I had to revisit many parts of my life that I didn't want to revisit, parts of my life that I had made my peace with. And I felt that there was no other way but to go back into that, remember that, and put it down, and go through all that pain and joy and exhilaration and drama and conflict. Let it be there. Let it be there. It was very difficult. The most difficult was the chapter on my son's death, of how my son had this problem, and 25-year-old boy, graduate of Carnegie Mellon University, on the verge of brilliant career in the internet age, suddenly has this mental problem, talks to me about wanting to commit suicide, how I tried to prevent him. All those are deeply wounding things to open up again. And I did that because it was necessary. Even relationships, the fights we had, the clashes we had, the infidelities, all those things I went into because I felt it was necessary. Painful, but necessary. If I was telling my life, I had to go back into those things, reopen those emotional joys, reopen those emotional wounds, and share them. That's the story.
True. Now, the next question is, as an author, what do you feel an author honestly tries to achieve by writing an autobiography?
Firstly, to set the record straight. I want my children to know, I want my grandchildren to know, I want my family and friends to know what I've written. In this book, after writing this book, many friends of mine who've known me for 10, 15 years said, Kabir, we've known you all this time. We had no idea about certain things in your life. Because, and the other thing is, to know the totality of my life. Very few people have seen all my films. Some people have seen my Bollywood films. Some people have seen my European Sandokan series and other work that I did in Italy that got me knighted by the Italian government. Others have seen my American television series around the world. Some people have seen the Bond films. Some people have seen Bold and Beautiful. what is the totality of my story? So to tell the totality of one's life is certainly one great objective in writing a book. But as you notice, the subtitle of my book is The Emotional Life of an Actor. So it's not just a catalogue of events. Ye hua, phir wo hua, phir ye success hui, phir ye picture flop hui. It's not that. Mujh pe kya beeti? What did I feel? What did I experience? What happened to me when I had crises in my marriage? What happened to me when I loved intensely? What happened when I lost the women that I loved? What happens to a man in those situations? What happens when you have to make decisions that of your career on one side and your personal life on the other side? What do you decide, right or wrong? So the second part of writing an autobiography is, what does the reader get out of it for him? It's all very well to know Kabir Bedi's life. Isme mera kya basta? Mujhe kya milega isme? They must also feel that they are gaining something, an insight not into my life, but into things that could affect their lives and help them make decisions and avoid the mistakes that I made. And also learn how to handle success. Success mein bhi bahut khatre hote hain. How do you deal with those problems? How do you deal with the... and also, third thing of the autobiography is learning to adapt. Learning to adapt. I have adapted from being a radio broadcaster to an advertising man, to a theater man, to a Bollywood actor, to an international actor, Hollywood actor, now an author. You adapt to changing situations. How do you adapt? Because as Charles Darwin said, and we all are adapting right now because the world is changing around us. As Charles Darwin said, the species that survives is not always the strongest or even the most intelligent. It is the species that learns to adapt. So learning to adapt is also a big skill. That I've also shared in my autobiography. So three basic things: my story, what are you getting out of it, and the importance of adapting.
Absolutely. Kabir sir, my final question before we take a couple questions from the audience who really want to ask you. How satisfied or happy is Kabir Bedi as an individual or as a star with the way life has treated him?
I am very grateful for all that I have received. That doesn't mean I don't expect more in life. That doesn't mean that I didn't expect even more in life. But if I look back on all that I have received, international stardom, knighthood, finally a wonderful and beautiful wife who I love and adore, and found the right kind of love after 4 attempts getting married. At that level, I certainly feel very content. But, there is such a thing as a creative dissatisfaction. All creativity comes out of dissatisfaction. Nothing comes out of satisfaction. You always have to feel ki aur kuch hai, aur kuch hoga. The best is yet to come. I still want to achieve other things. And I've certainly had great joy in the acclaim that my book has received from all reviews that I've received. So that's another great satisfaction. And for those things, I'm happy. But I can't say I'm in a state of nirvana, because then the game's over. I have to believe that there is still things to do, still things I want to do, ways I want to express myself, share myself, relate to people, do things for social good, like Sight Saver, the charity that I do. Be things that I want to do for myself and for social good. So those dissatisfactions remain, and I think those are very positive dissatisfactions.
Absolutely. Just aapne kaha na ki, the quest for growth should come from dissatisfaction. If you're satisfied, then you've reached the end. Yes. Kabirji, before ending the show, we'll just take a couple of questions from the audience who've registered and really want to ask you questions. Sagar, can we have those couple of questions on screen? We'll directly have the person live ask you.
Okay.
We have Naresh joining us, sir.
Yes.
Okay. not hearing anything.
Sagar, is he joining? Has he technically joined the screen?
Yeah, it says he'll join as a panelist again. I guess there is some. I'll join Karan Mohan Thakur.
Yes,
He also
join
has
the
a
other
question.
person. Yes.
Who is joining us?
Karan is joining us. They are
Karan,
already joined.
okay.
You just have to be taken on
Patched
screen.
up, okay.
Yeah, Karan has, he's live on screen with us.
Hi, sir. Hi, Kabir.
Hi, Karan.
First of all, let me tell you, it's a great pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
My question from you is regarding Amrish Puri, sir. You have worked with him in several movies. And as we all know that he was a legendary actor and a great person in the Indian cinema. So can you please tell us some of your most memorable moments with him that you still remember today?
You know, Amrish and I were friends from a long, long time because I began my life in theatre also. I was in Alakpadam C's Tuglak, whose success opened the door to the film industry for me. And at that time, Amrish used to work in the railways. But he always did fantastic theatre with Satyadev Dubey in Hindi theatre. And so we meet on a number of occasions, etc. He used to drive this motorcycle and he lived in a little place near Bandra station. And he did one role and he was very good in it. And people were asking to sign other films. And he said, Kabir, yaar, if I sign films, I'll have to leave my job. And if I leave my job, sari security khatam ho jayegi. Pata nahi film industry da ki hoega. Ki karna? I said, Amrish, don't think about it. Just do the films. The film industry will not let you go. You are such a great actor that the industry will give you more work than you can imagine. And he was the brother of Madan Puri, so he understood film industry and its uncertainties. But once he made that leap, he became a giant. And I absolutely admire everything Amrish achieved in his life. He was always a great actor, but he became one of the greatest actors on screen, achieved great brilliance. The last film I did with him was a film called The Hero with Anil Sharma, which was Priyanka Chopra's debut film.
Yes.
And I spent a lot of time with him.
In that, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry?
You were Priyanka's father in that film, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. That's right.
Yes,
and we spent a lot of time together in Canada and remembered our old days and laughed about things. I had the greatest admiration for Amrish. And I think he achieved magnificent wonders in his career and did fantastic roles. A truly great actor and a wonderful human being.
So sweet. Thank you, Karan. Thank you for your question. Sagar, could we have Suyog, please?
Yes.
Hi, Suyog. You can go ahead with your question for Kabir, sir. Suyog, we are unable to hear you.
I'm not hearing anything.
He is not on mute, but he just unable to hear him. Nevertheless, he's posted his question here, so I can say he's your big fan, and there are multiple questions that he has posted, but I'll just take a couple of them. One is, of course, secret of realistic acting. Why so late for a book, sir? And how you can handle camera nervousness. Very important question for him since he's an aspiring actor.
Why so late in the book? I think I've explained. As far as, nervousness goes, let me tell you that no matter how experienced an actor is, there's always nervousness.
Absolutely.
The difference between a professional and an amateur is that a professional learns to use that nervousness to improve his performance, and an amateur gets shaken by it. Naturalism in acting is a matter that every actor has to figure out for himself, because there are many schools in acting, and there's many styles of acting, and different mediums also call for different ways of acting. The kind of naturalism sometimes you can show in film is harder to portray, for instance, in the theater, where sometimes you need to project things a little more because you're sitting far from people in the audience. And if you play things too subtly that a camera might catch, but somebody in the last seat of an auditorium might not catch, you have to amend your acting and body language for them to understand. Because in acting, it's not just about what you're saying. It's also about what you're feeling. And in the best cases, the audience even understands what you're thinking. So let your thinking be fully in the character, and let your thinking show. That makes it natural. If you're thinking, what's my next line, and I'm saying this line, it will not be natural because you're saying something, but your mind is thinking something else. Every actor finds his own technique. Some people follow the Grotowski method, which is body language right, and then the mind follows, or you take the Stanislavski method, where the interior has to be right, and the exterior follows. There's all kinds of techniques. I don't follow any one in particular. I just use whatever's best for that shot to make it work as I see it best. But the way to naturalism is sincerity in what you're performing. But remember one thing: there is always a need to keep things dramatic. Sometimes in a conversation, there are, in real life, there are pauses while somebody's thinking. Now, if you do that on film, unless there's a very good reason for that pause, you break the dramatic tension of a scene. People don't have patience to watch your pauses unless it's really a meaningful pause. Just because you happen to want to think about something before saying it may not be a good enough reason. You have to keep a certain dramatic tension going so that people are involved in the scene. Their attention doesn't wander. That also is the duty of the actor. So realism is good, but keeping the dramatic intensity is also important.
Absolutely. And we'll take the last question, sir, from Naresh, who was supposed to join, but he's posted his question here. I guess due to some technical difficulty, he was not able to join. Naresh Rao wishes to ask you, sir, how difficult is it to include every aspect of life in the autobiography?
Very difficult. Very difficult to include every aspect of life. Because, we are such multi-dimensional human beings. We have so many worlds within us. How can you possibly put them all down in one book? You have to, I've tried in my book to explore various parts of myself, which includes my own character, my own journey, but I've also shared the journey of my parents, and who lived lives of idealism and fought for country's freedom and made massive transitions to religion. I've also explored my philosophical beliefs and my search for the truth of our existence. That's also one chapter in my book. So you can't put it all down. What you have to put down is what is most relevant to the reader, what interests the reader the most in terms of the real essence of my story. That I have to be true to the essence of my story. Many facts need to be left out because otherwise, like I said, it becomes Encyclopedia Britannica. It becomes a compendium of facts, which is like reading a telephone directory. Nobody's interested.
Absolutely.
So tell what is needed, be true to your story, and put in that story whatever is relevant. And, if enough people like the book that I've written, and many people seem to have liked it, I can write another book about other stories in my life. You don't have to put it all in one book. If I put everything in one book, it should be a 900-page book maybe.
Absolutely.
And nobody has the patience to read stories like that.
True.
So
Thank you
it's
so
important
much.
to tell your
Yes.
story as honestly, cleanly as you can, and hope that people like it. I hope that they're interested enough in their lives and also for what they can get out of it for their lives, their own lives, to read my book because it's a great story.
Absolutely. As you rightly said, that, be honest, and honesty is what makes an autobiography successful, and then it captivates the audience, and it also makes them learn from the experiences that that particular man or woman has written in the autobiography. With that, thank you so much, Kabirji, for joining us on this episode of Masterminds by Governance Now. Let me tell you, it was an absolute pleasure hosting you today. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much to all our lovely audience who joined us through various modes of social media live today. And thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Jai.
Thank you, Kailash. Thank you very much. And please give my regards to all the Adhikari brothers. And I wish you best in all your ventures. God bless you. And I hope to talk to you in the future as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Looking forward, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care.